Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, House Republicans claim Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas is mishandling an influx of migrants at the southern border. Plus, we get an inside look at Alaska Airlines' efforts to get its Boeing 737 MAX 9 jets back in service.
Plus, we stay gloomy through midweek, but the sunny weather is not far away. Those details coming up as Mountain News at 5:30 starts now.
Dedicated to southern and eastern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. House Republicans are moving closer to possibly impeaching Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas over his handling of immigration at the southern border. CBS's Skylar Henry is on Capitol Hill with more on what happened during today's Homeland Security Committee hearing, as well as Mayorkas' response to the proceedings.
The House Committee on Homeland Security met Tuesday to mark up 2 articles of impeachment against Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, moving a step closer to a full House vote.
The actions and decisions of Secretary Mayorkas have left us with no other option than to proceed with articles of impeachment.
House Republicans want the secretary impeached over his handling of the southern border. The articles of impeachment charge Mayorkas willfully defied laws that require migrants to be detained and that he breached the public trust by claiming that the border was secure.
The failure to secure the border has been so significant, so catastrophic, so egregious.
The GOP effort follows unprecedented border crossing levels in December. Democrats argue disagreements over the Biden administration's border policy do not meet the high crimes and misdemeanors threshold for impeachment.
The sham impeachment of Secretary Mayorkas is a baseless political stunt.
Secretary Mayorkas did not testify during the impeachment proceedings, but sent a letter to the committee chair ahead of Tuesday's hearing, saying the, quote, false allegations don't rattle him. In the letter, Mayorkas also touted a bipartisan Senate border security immigration proposal that he helped negotiate, a deal some House Republicans have already come out against.
If it is what they're advertising that doesn't address remain in Mexico, that doesn't address mass parole, that doesn't resume border wall construction.
Secretary Mayorkas has done what he has the authority to do, which is limited. He has been undermined and sabotaged at every step by Republicans.
House Speaker Mike Johnson says he intends to bring the impeachment issue up for a full vote as soon as possible. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
If Mayorkas is impeached, it will be the first time the House has impeached a cabinet secretary in nearly 150 years. Former President Trump is ramping up efforts to attract more mega donors for his presidential run. This comes as Republican primary rival Nikki Haley launches a fundraising blitz of her own. A source familiar with Trump's mega donor push says it includes personal calls, a motorcade ride, and meals at his Mar-a-Lago private club. The source says Trump has recently gotten financial commitments from many of the high-dollar donors he's courted. Chinese President Xi Jinping told President Biden last year China will not interfere in the upcoming presidential election. A source says the conversation occurred during a meeting between the two leaders in Woodside, California last November. Another source also says the Chinese foreign minister reiterated the assurance to the National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, during a meeting this past weekend in Bangkok. Pakistan's former Prime Minister Imran Khan has been sentenced to 10 years in jail for leaking state secrets. Khan's political party said that their legal team will challenge the decision in a higher court as they hope to get the sentence suspended. The hearing took place in a special court established under the Official Secrets Act. The sentencing comes ahead of parliamentary elections set to be held in Pakistan on February 8th. Sources say the Justice Department is investigating Democratic Congresswoman Cori Bush for reported misuse of funds. The claims come after the DOJ subpoenaed the House Sergeant-at-Arms Monday for documents related to the misuse of funds for security. No further details have been released regarding the reported corruption probe of the Democratic representative from Missouri's 1st District. The DOJ declined to comment. Federal officials in Los Angeles say 10 people connected to an international drug trafficking ring have been arrested in cities across the U.S. and Canada. Officials claim the suspects conspired to traffic the drugs from Mexico through Los Angeles. The drugs included nearly 2,000 pounds of methamphetamine and more than 2,000 pounds of cocaine. The estimated value of the seized narcotics is between $16 and $28 million.
We are tracking some gloomy and soggy weather across the mountains on this Tuesday evening. Here's a live look at First Alert Pinpoint Doppler, and spotty showers continue. Zooming into the Cumberland Valley, some light showers close to London for Laurel County, also stretching into Pulaski County, down into McCreary County as well, and some more light to moderate showers for Claiborne County, Tennessee, pushing into Lee County, Virginia at this hour. And same story for our friends in southern West Virginia for Wayne County, pushing into Mingo and Logan counties at this hour. Some light showers at this location as well. And those temperatures across the region are cooler today, all thanks to this cloudy sky we see across the mountains from the London Corbin Airport to Moorhead. You can see we are cloudy, also soggy in some areas right now, and those temperatures in the middle to lower 40s and a few upper 30s as well, up to 39 for Wise, 42 for Pikeville, and 43 over in Irvin at this hour. As we go into tonight, those lows are back in the middle to lower 50s in some areas. If we have some leftover moisture, possibly a few snow flurries or patches of wintry mix, no big impacts as temperatures are above freezing once again. More gloomy and chilly weather on the way tomorrow, but those temperatures rebound and we see some more sunshine by Thursday and Friday. Those details coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
All right, Cameron, thank you. We have an inside look tonight at Alaska Airlines' efforts to get its Boeing 737 MAX 9 jets back in service. Earlier this month, a door panel blew off in midair. Federal regulators ordered inspections and Boeing is cooperating. CBS's Chris Van Cleve got exclusive access to show us how those inspections are done.
We're on board an Alaska Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 9 outside their Seattle maintenance facility, awaiting an inspection of its door panels. This is our first up-close look at those panels and the 4 bolts holding them in place, now at the center of an NTSB investigation.
It's about a 12-hour process to inspect one of these door panels. First, you have to remove 2 rows of seats, plus all the cabin interior, just to get to the door panel. You're going to check the 4 key bolts that hold this in place, but then there's also 20 pages of measurements that have to happen before that plug can be deemed safe and this airplane put back into service.
I would personally fly next to the door plug and put my kids there myself and fly with me after they've gone through these inspections.
Jason Lai oversees Alaska's engineering team working around the clock.
You're checking for all the hardware, make sure they're in place, make sure all the hardware are tight. We have found some loose bolts and we need to document those.
How common has that been during your inspection?
More than we would like. There have been quite a few aircraft where we have found loose bolts. But what I will say, Chris, is there's been no aircraft with bolts missing.
Investigators are still working to determine if those bolts were in place when the door panel blew out of Alaska Flight 1282. Alaska and United Airlines are flying the MAX 9 again. Alaska is bringing back up to 10 planes a day as inspections are completed.
A chess game is a good way to look at it, Chris.
Captain Brett Payton.
We had to make sure that we had a safe and compliant path forward to operating these airplanes. So we did take it very slow and steady, but we have to make sure we have the safety element done first.
An effort being tracked from Alaska's Network Operations Center, where cameras are rarely allowed, with the goal of completing the inspection work this week. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Seattle.
An Amtrak train derailed in Colorado Monday night after colliding with a milk truck. There were 69 passengers on board. No serious injuries were reported, but police said at least 2 people were hospitalized. All passenger cars remained upright after the crash. A Broadway legend has died. Chita Rivera's publicist says Rivera died after a brief illness. Rivera was an iconic actress, singer, and dancer who lit up countless Broadway shows for nearly 7 decades. She rose to stardom in the original production of West Side Story, playing the role of Anita. Rivera starred in dozens of Broadway musicals in New York and London. Rivera was 91 years old. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, if you're thinking of getting your first credit card, you likely want to start building up your credit. What you should focus on while staying out of debt.
Plus, rain chances stick around through this evening, timing out those showers after this break.